Now, this one, the order is very important, and this one you're not going to stabilize the legs. So what I want you to do is I actually want you to roll up, okay? So slowly lift your head and then your shoulders yet, and then just come all the way up into a sit-up, okay? Now,
wow.
And that would be a 5 out of 5. Now, you would not have someone do 100 sit-ups with the legs straight. And that's because of what we're doing to the lower back for the intra-abdominal pressure, okay? For the one manual muscle test, we do need to do it this way because, again, we don't want to recruit the hip flexors and we want to only get the abdominals. So that's why we don't have the knees bent for this test, okay? So can you go to the next slide for me, please? So again, this is going to be the Macarena testing. It's fortunately in the same order. So we've got 5, 4, 3 plus, okay? So for the gala, I would like to have you come up with an abdominal manual muscle test dance. Abdominal manual muscle test interpretive dance. That would be awesome. Okay. So it's going to be, all the grading is on there. It's similar to whether or not you're able to clear your shoulders, if you're getting an approximation, okay? So if you had someone that you suspected had weak abdominals, I would not have them start with their hands behind their head. So I'm going to have you go back down again. So let's pretend you're weaker. So go ahead and put your hands behind your head again. What I want you to do this time is kind of and come up kind of more straight instead of rolling. That would not be the right test. Did you see what she did? So halfway up, she kind of did a hump, and you could almost see that her hip flexors kicked in because she was no longer rolling her spine. So those are the kinds of things you need to look for. If you have a patient do that, you need to then have them change their hand position, okay? If you're treating someone, again, who you think has a lower core, it would be better to have them just start with their hands out, and if they can do that easily, then have them, do this one, okay?
So the hands out, would that be a 3 plus?
It's a 3 plus.
Why does the hand position matter? Why does it make it stronger? Or...
So you're changing the weight distribution, and so you're just making, so it just goes back to force times distance is torque. Okay. So here, the weight of your arms are the furthest away from the pivot point, so you're placing the greatest load on the abdominals. Whereas if you have the hands out here, you're actually bringing the center of mass closer to the fulcrum for the abdominals. Okay? All right, so the last one is the lower abdominal test, and have you lie on your back. So for this one, you are going to lift up the legs, and you're going to bring them up to 90 degrees. Okay?
Oh, I can't even do that.
And then what I need you to do is push your belly down onto the table. There you go. Now, I'm going to be monitoring the back because that's when I'm going to know when to stop lowering the legs. Because as soon as she loses that posterior pelvic tilt, I'm going to stop. Okay? How we're going to grade this test is in 15-degree increments, and that's what's up there right now. If she can only get to 75 degrees, she would get a 3 out of 5. Okay? So for this test, we really don't have a 2, 2 plus, 2 minus. We really start at a 3. Okay? So push down in my hands. There you go. Okay, I'm going to slowly lower your legs. I want you to keep your back pushed into my hand. Okay? Good job. Hold that. I'm killing her because I'm going really slow. Okay, so go ahead and relax. So I have her here. So where would that put her on that list?
4 plus.
Okay. She's right at the border of 4 plus or 5. I would probably give her a 5 just because I know I can't do it. Okay? So the slower you do it, the harder it's going to be to hold it. So I was going pretty slow. I would not go that slow. She started to come in and out of the posterior pelvic tilt probably around 30, 35 degrees. And so I was going slower actually to see if she could pull it in, and she did. Okay? So so that's why I went slower. A better speed, generally. Go ahead. Are you ready for another one? Yep. Okay. So I have her at 90. Okay, hold it there. Hold it. Hold it. Oh, much easier for you this time. Keep holding it. Yes. so we get to about the same spot. We get down to here again. Okay. Now, for those of you who don't have the Incredibles arms, you may need, Scott, I don't think you're in trouble with that one. So some of you are going to have a hard time monitoring the low back and lowering the legs. In that case, you're going to have to give up monitoring so that you can control the legs better because you want your patient to be safe. In that case, you're going to have to really have a laser focused right here to see if you see that come up. It's not going to be as accurate as if your hand is under there, but if you have to give up one, this is what you need to, that's what you need to give up. Okay?
So how would you do this if the patient can't get into 90 degrees?
Okay, so very seldom can they not get into 90 degrees of hip flexion because that's what you need to sit. What's more likely is they're not going to be able to get to full knee extension. So it's more likely that what you're going to see is, bend your knees for me, is you're going to get them like that. What you care about is the hip angle, not the knee angle. Okay? So then I would just lower the legs with that little bit of knee flexion. Okay. Dave, you got a question?
Same question.
Same question. Okay. So it would be very unusual that you couldn't get them into 90 degrees of hip flexion. It's more the knee straightening and that'll be a problem.
A little tidbit, like at the PT that one of the PTs I saw was pretty small, so then she actually used a blood pressure cuff underneath their back and was pumped it up to 20 psi or whatever.
Okay.
And then monitored the needle because as soon as it lost pressure,
Right.
you knew their back jumped off. So just a little tip.
Oh. So you've got one in your kits. I think that's a great. Yeah. Thank you. All right. So those are the last two tests. So for lower abdominal testing, you would not do this test on someone less than 8 years old. For kids that are 8 to 10 years old, you would not expect them to have full strength. I would not expect them to be able to get their legs all the way down to the table. It's not until boys get to be in their mid-teens that you would expect them to be 5 out of 5. And at that age, you would still expect girls to be at about a 4 out of 5. Okay? So let's have you do those last two abdominal tests. Thank you.